Every year they march out Martin Luther King Jr. because it's Black History Month. They march him out and they play some clips. Not so much these days because the family has regained control of his likeness and everything, but they play the I Have a Dream speech and they show a couple of marches, carefully selected, at least at least burn on the mainstream, the dominant as they are called in some circles. But every goddamn year they do this, you know, and it annoys me because you know, being on social media and everything, I've taken the time to actually go and look the guy up. He was in his late 30s when he was murdered, and I think about that, how he ended up murdered. He was the face of the civil rights movement for a long time, and it means a lot to me. You know, Martin Luther King is a great man. I don't know what his foibles were, but we fail to see him as a human being who had a family and children and everything. And he hoped to one day get back to his family. Whether it worked out or not, in the long run, we'll never know. You know, some people say he was in bed with the government on some level, and who knows? These days, everybody's in bed with everybody. Some people said he was unfaithful to his wife and whatnot. Look at what he was dealing with on a daily basis. I'm not making excuses for infidelity. And you know, they had to show me a lot of proof. Can you imagine if somebody was trying to kill you every day and yelling slurs at you and rolling everything? There was nowhere you can turn. Can you imagine that? It's not held in high regard by the government or anybody else, and a lot of people in the community didn't like him either because he was stirring the boat and they wanted to stay asleep even in Jim Crow times. They were content to be a second class, not even a citizen and shit, barely above a citizen. You know, if even that. But I think about Martin Luther King and what the real speech that I've actually posted that clip of him talking about alluding to reparations, basically, and it's one of the reasons he was killed. A lot of people said that he was killed for speaking about the Vietnam War, but I don't think they gave a shit about that. I think they cared more about him galvanizing the people to seek reparations in whatever terms humanly possible, and him becoming more radicalized. So they decided to put his lights out, which is a tragedy considering he had a family and everything, and he was on top of a mountain. He was the tip of a spear, and I don't think he necessarily wanted to be there, but things just worked out a certain kind of way. He had to walk on a razor thin tightrope between radicalism and pacifism and everything, and he was derided a lot, even by his own peers and whatnot. And it kind of sucks. And Martin Luther King was a great man and an inspiration to many people, and not for the nonviolence thing, I'm really not into that. I believe you defend yourself, right? I believe you defend yourself to the fullest extent that, you can preserve your life. And I think that was a detriment. But, I guess it was necessary at the time, But I think about when he was killed, the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, you know. I think he was killed. He was there to negotiate to work on a strike, a sanitation strike. And the whole thing was a shit show. He should have been he should have been out of there like after the first day or two. I would have went back home. I'd have been like, oh, the white people win. That's what I would have done because he had to know the waters were muddy. And there's some theories that he knew that he was going to be killed, and that they had that meeting there to ascertain like what was going to happen going forward. But from what I see, I think he was sitting in a room full of sharks. A lot of people were cutting up the pie after he was dead. His body wasn't even cold yet. And I think it's shit. He was murdered. He was assassinated. And what is the state of the black community today in 2021? Man, we are as bad off as we ever were. And no political base, and just it's all the waters are all muddied, and I always trace it back to his assassination and whatnot. Because when you look at those clips, you see him surrounded by so many goddamn people, and so young brothers out there, agitating and everything. And for some reason, I feel like maybe a couple of those people took some money. There's probably some government paid brothers out there, probably coons, muddy in the water, so that things would be off kilter. The minute he felt like things weren't things were weird, he probably should have got out of there, took a bus or something. I would be like, man, we got to go. I'm like, I want them to kill me out in the open, or I'm going home. But it didn't work out that way. He got shot. He got killed. And fuck it, man. There were some conspirators amongst his circle, his inner circle, and today they made out like bandits. In one ways. Even his right hand man wrote a expose book on him, which I think it was disrespectful, talking about his infidelities, his supposed infidelities and all, sensationalized or not. I think it was disrespectful to a man you call friend, and you walked in. You guys were on the front lines of a movement. You know, what can you say about Jesse Jackson, man? Jesse Jackson left town quickly with a bloody shirt, and was seen on news talking about Martin Luther King's death. If you look at the clips of Jesse talking about Martin's death, I find it disrespectful him to talk about how his body fell when the bullets hit him, because he's all like, oh, you know, he flew back when the bullet hit him, and I was just looking and all this, and he just acted like a goddamn coon. And Jesse's been a staple of our community for so many years, and he's been held in high regard. I have I don't know, the misfortune, I guess, of knowing him a little bit closer than that. I won't go into any detail, but I just find him very disinterested when the camera's not around. Kind of like a Hulk Hogan situation. He's very disinterested when there's nothing in it for him, and it's all about the money. I had a situation where I got to see the real him. And then, like less than 24 hours, one of my relatives was trying to get me to go to Operation Push to talk to him, and I refused to do that. I thought there was better things I could do with my time. So, I sat down and I watched some movies on HBO. I watched like fucking, watched a movie called Fright Night, and I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and then I watched some karate movies, and then I watched like fucking Galavision. I watched some Spanish shit, because it had some hot chicks in there, and that was better than going to see Jesse Jackson's ass and shit, in my opinion. You know, in case you don't know, I'm a native of the South Side of Chicago. I was born and raised there. I was born in the right after Martin Luther King was murdered, and I grew up as a teen in the mid '80s, whatnot. And as I said, I had the fortune or misfortune of being a little closer to Mr. Jackson than I'd like to let on. And I also had the opportunity during the '80s to go over to the Final Call building, and I had the opportunity to see Farrakhan speak in person, and just an impromptu deal. Yeah, he was saying some pretty powerful stuff, but I found the structure inside the building. I found the structure to be like somewhat rigid, and remind me of kind of like it was kind of like cult like, you know, because all the guys that were in charge in there they were all wearing the Muslim suit with the bow ties and whatnot, but the guys they were the guys that were in charge were kind of like light skinned brothers with different color suits on. I'm not lying about this, and I'm not a coon or anything. I am what you would call a foundational Black American, if nothing else. Okay, I can trace my lineage all the way back to Mississippi and Arkansas, and even beyond that. I can trace it. To a huge family. You can trace it all the way back to the original slaves on either side. And the reason I say that, I feel like I had to put that disclaimer because I'm saying something that would probably piss some people off. I'm disparaging some stalwarts of the community, our Black community, our ethnic community. But I feel like I need to say that because look at the condition of it. Martin gave his life. He gave his life for his people. And then the people that were left over, his inner circle, what did they do? How did they honor him and whatnot? What is the condition of the Black community and whatnot? It's in the shitter, you know? I originally wanted to do a video every day for Black History Month, but I didn't obviously didn't get to do that for personal reasons. But I'm not going to stop making content regarding this. So, just stay tuned. And, I hope you enjoyed the videos I put out so far.